pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. First thing on our agenda is consent agenda. Mitch and Melvin, we're going, right?
Yeah, I'll make a move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, and then I'm going to make one small change to the agenda. We are going to add item 2J. We have Tom Coleman from Regional Water. He's going to give us an update today. So with that, we'll move forward to our scheduled sessions. First one is a public hearing on the authorization of a loan agreement and the issuance of not to exceed $645,000 general obligation capital loan notes and sign resolution 20-2022, instituting proceedings to take additional action.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman?
Aye.
Supervisor Shea?
Yes.
Bell?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
And Groby?
Aye.
Okay, we're now in a public hearing. Anyone speaking in favor? Anyone speaking opposed? I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing. Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman?
Aye.
Supervisor Shea?
Aye.
Bell?
Aye.
Schultz? And Groby?
Aye.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve and authorize board to sign resolution 2022 instituting proceedings to take additional action.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman?
Aye.
Supervisors Bell?
Aye.
Groby?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Shea?
Aye.
Moving on to B, a public hearing on the authorization of a loan agreement and the issuance of not to exceed $245,000 general obligation capital loan notes and to sign resolution 21-2022, instituting proceedings to take additional action. We should open public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman?
Aye.
Supervisor Shea?
Aye.
Bell?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Groby?
Aye.
Okay, we're now in a public hearing on the item B. Anyone speaking in favor? Anyone speaking opposed? I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman?
Aye.
Supervisor Shea?
Aye.
Bell? Schultz? Groby?
Aye.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman?
Aye.
Supervisors Bell? Groby? Schultz?
Aye.
Shea?
Aye.
Item C is a public hearing on the authorization of a loan agreement and the issuance of not to exceed $300,000 general obligation capital loan notes and to sign resolution 22-2022, instituting proceedings to take additional action.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman?
Aye.
Supervisor Shea?
Aye.
Bell? Schultz?
Aye.
And Groby?
Aye.
Okay, we're now in a public hearing. Anyone speaking opposed? I'm sorry, in favor? Anyone speaking opposed? I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Hauser, you call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisors Shea,
Aye.
Belt, Schultz, Groby,
Aye.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve and authorize board to sign resolution 22-2022, instituting proceedings to take action.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisors Belt,
Aye.
Groby,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
and Shea.
Aye.
Item D is a public hearing on the authorization of a loan agreement and the issuance of not to exceed $300,000 general obligation capital loan notes and to sign resolution 23-2022, instituting proceedings to take additional action.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we're now in a public hearing. Anyone speaking in,
Call roll.
oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisors Shea,
Yep.
Belt, Schultz, Groby,
Aye.
Now we're in a public hearing. Anyone speaking in favor? Anyone speaking opposed? We'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Shea,
Aye.
Belt,
Aye.
Schultz, Groby,
Aye.
Motion to approve and authorize board to sign resolution number 23-22, instituting proceedings to take action, additional action.
Second. Sorry.
All right, is there any discussion from the board? Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisors Belt,
Aye.
Groby,
Aye.
Schultz, and Shea.
Aye.
Item E is a public hearing on the authorization of a loan agreement and the issuance of not to exceed $300,000 general obligation capital loan notes and to sign resolution 24-2022, instituting proceedings to take additional action.
I got Belt.
Okay.
Motion to open public hearing.
Shea, second.
Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisors Groby,
Aye.
Schultz, Belt,
Aye.
Shea.
Aye.
Okay, we're now in a public hearing. Anyone speaking in favor? Anyone speaking opposed? I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Schultz,
Aye.
Groby,
Aye.
Belt, Shea.
Aye. Make a motion to approve.
Sign resolution 24-2022.
That's it.
That's fine.
Sorry.
Second.
Any discussion from the board? Mr. Hauser, you call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman. Supervisors Belt,
Aye.
Groby,
Aye.
Schultz, Shea.
Aye.
Moving on to item F. Item F, public hearing on the authorization of a loan agreement and the issuance of not to exceed $120,000 of general obligation capital loan notes and to sign resolution 25-2022, instituting proceedings to take additional action.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisors Belt,
Aye.
Schultz, Shea,
Aye.
Groby,
Aye.
All right, we're now in a public hearing. Anyone speaking in favor? Anyone speaking opposed? I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved. Need a second?
Second.
Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman. Aye. Supervisors Belt.
Aye.
Shay.
Aye.
Groby. Aye. Schultz. Aye.
Make a motion to approve to sign 25/2022.
Second.
Any other discussion from anyone on the board? Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisors Belt.
Aye.
Groby. Aye. Schultz. Aye. And Shay.
Aye.
Item G is a public hearing on the authorization of a loan agreement and the issuance of not to exceed $90,000 general obligation capital loan notes and to sign resolution 26-2022, instituting proceedings to take additional actions.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Shay.
Aye.
Belt.
Aye.
Schultz. Aye. Groby. Aye.
Okay, we're now in a public hearing. Anyone speaking in favor? Anyone speaking opposed? I'll entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisors Belt.
Aye.
Groby. Aye. Schultz.
Aye.
Shay.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 26/2022.
Second.
Any discussion from the board?
It's one great project.
All right, Mr. Hauser, call the roll, please.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisors Belt.
Aye.
Groby. Aye. Schultz.
Aye.
And Shay.
Aye.
Okay, we ran through those fairly quick. This is to you, Susan, if you'd like. All of these were part of our budget process. None of the expenses that we talked about today in public hearings and approved will raise the mill levy for the residents of Potawatomi County. And if you want any other explanation on any of those projects that we, please ask and I'll make sure I can get that to you. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Same with anybody else too.
Yeah. It'd be nice that the rules would let us read them, one public hearing and read them all off, but then down the road, this is the process that we have to use.
I think you've been in some of those meetings too. You know, this has been part of our budget process since we started in December. All right. Any other comments from anybody else on the board?
No, they're all good, good projects. A lot of them have to do with improvements to public safety and our parks and some roads, so.
All right, next up, we're moving on to item H. We have Janet Lemrick, the Director of Human Resources, and Suzanne Watson, Director of Community Services. Discussion to review the draft for the Southwest Iowa Mental Health Region 428E agreement between the region and Potawatomi County. Suzanne, are you taking over first, or we let Janet rock on? She's just here for support.
Yes,
I'm taking over, or are you
Yes.
here for support?
I'm
Okay.
here, both.
So, we had come to you a couple weeks ago now, and you asked to see a draft of a 28E. So this is still in draft format, but to give you some guidance going forward, because I need to take this to our governing board next Monday for the region's governing board. So at that time, when this gets in final form, we will have them approve it and then get it to you for signature. So we wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to ask any questions as far as where we are in the draft process so far. And we've engaged Leanne's assistance in this, since this is a legal document. So any questions or concerns or?
Lift it over.
I've looked it over, yeah, from the county's perspective, our biggest concern is we don't want to appear to be the joint employer of these employees. We are basically just providing payroll services and, work comp, some IT services and things like that, but we are not the employer.
That that's spelled out in here, right?
I believe it's spelled out.
I thought I saw that.
Yeah. I think one change from what I had originally saw was to make clear that the payroll practices will be under the region in terms of pay raises and such. You know, if these employees decide to form a union, it obviously would be separate from what our unions would be because they have a different employer. Yeah, we probably need to discuss that a bit more.
Yeah.
So
What's that?
how does that work, I guess? I mean, those, I guess, organizations or functions of government that oversee work-employee relationships.
Well, it's kind of similar, I think, to what we do with juvenile detention.
That's what I was gonna
Okay.
say as well.
Those aren't considered county employees?
I mean,
Well,
their pay,
according to the IRS, they are.
yeah, their
According
paycheck
to-
says Potawatomi County,
Yeah.
Right.
but what we don't have say in how they determine what their pay raises are gonna be and such is they're up to their board.
And our
Okay.
board has already passed policies stating that we will follow Potawatomi County step and grade scale, and then they will set my salary and report that to you.
Okay.
So we've already said we're going to follow the step and grade, and any decisions that Potawatomi County makes as far as increases.
Because July 1, it says we're gonna transfer them all over.
The additional 5, right.
Right.
And it may happen just a little before July 1. Did we identify that
Yeah,
date?
and there's a couple things that we learned too when we were at,
Cuts off.
Right, exactly.
yeah, so we might be able to make the payroll piece a little easier, and again, we'll get this figured out by the end of this week. But at ISAC, we did learn that perhaps we don't need to have a separate account for payroll. So we had set up an original, it was Department 60 Fund 9 that was published. It was money, it was just pass-through money. It might be that we can just take payroll directly out of our region fund, which Potawatomi County is already the fiscal agent. So we may not have to be doing the back and forth, like reimbursing, which hopefully we just need to get an okay from our auditor, and Department of Management has already said that they don't really care how we do that.
Okay.
So we might be able to take a few steps out of here that might make it even cleaner.
Okay, so this 4.2, one of the face of it on here, but it says that your board, I guess, has agreed to follow Pot County's wage system. And then your board then needs to approve that each year for us? Is that how that works then?
Yeah, so I think going forward, they've acknowledged that, yes, they will accept the step and grade. And I would imagine that when they set my salary on an annual basis, we'll also let them know what any changes to the step and grade.
So is that prior to us or after us that your board, if your board would happen for whatever reason, because they're elected officials from multiple counties, happen to not agree, then your employees wouldn't get the necessary steps and grades then?
Yeah, I can't foresee that happening.
Okay,
I just,
well, I don't.
Let's say
Never say
if.
never.
I know,
Yeah.
Is that-
Big if 1 year they say, oh, you know what, we're not gonna follow the step and grades, or we can't afford a pay increase, then we would just have to move Suzanne's employees into their own step and grade within the Tyler system, and we would just get documentation on what,
And just
They-
the 5 would be the outliers.
no, it would be all of them.
it'd be all of them at that point.
We're bringing 5 over, but then it would be the total of all of them, so 20-ish,
Okay.
20.
Okay, then the last piece, was on that last page about the fees that are gonna be charged. Are you guys still working through what that's gonna look
What
like?
section are you on, Scott?
Exhibit A.
Exhibit
Last page. Yeah, so one of the things we need to do is establish, I did put a percentage, like we gotta figure out that percentage. I'd rather have a flat fee, just because if it's based on a percentage, then you get to the last couple of weeks of the fiscal year and you're scrambling to figure out what that percentage is and get all that stuff. So Melvin and I have been already talking about the amount of time it actually takes his staff to do that fiscal agent fee part, and then we can come up with a flat number, probably based on the number of employees for that payroll cost.
Well,
So-
the payroll and the accounts payable.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what I was referring to as
Okay.
the fiscal agent, yeah.
Well, there'll be some cost for payroll also, but we'll.
Yeah, we'll
work
get
out
that
and see
established
what-
within the next week.
What sort of time allotment there is for taking care of the region.
So will that each, IT, HR, and the auditor all invoice you, so it's, I guess, a tracked system?
Yep, and we already do that now. We pay a fiscal agent fee as well as we do pay any IT fees that are above and beyond currently
Okay,
for the region.
and then whatever Janet
Yeah.
decides.
So we're kind of already in the practice of doing this.
Invoicing, so.
Yeah, this is just making it a little more official.
I mean, would the regions be audited by the state auditor?
Yeah, we can choose our own auditor just as you can, and we've, for the last 7 years, used the state auditor,
State auditor,
and we plan to continue that.
okay. Thank you.
And you got any concerns on this?
No.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Hang on.
Well, we're not approving it yet. We just wanted to talk about it to see if you guys had any
Okay.
concerns.
Mr. Hauser, when you said that you're still working out some other costs, it's noted in here that 5% for fiscal agent fees, 5% for payroll, that's not gonna cover it.
Oh, that's
What do you think?
that's a dollar amount, that's not a $5.
We
That's a
were
dollar sign.
charging,
I'm sorry, that is a
Doesn't
dollar.
say.
Yeah,
we're charging
1,
1%. We're supposed to, I think the contract said not more than 1%.
not more than 1%.
So, yeah, there was
I was gonna say,
There was quite a bit of money coming back to the county that Suzanne could probably better use for her services. So we'll work with payroll and I think
Yeah, that's okay.
Thea's probably tracking some of her time for
All their notes.
the accounts payable.
Okay.
We'll see how much, and I don't know, does Chris send claims over once a week, once a day, continually, or once a month?
No more than once a week.
Okay, and then she can kind of track that time, and then payroll can track their time.
And since Suzanne has to take this on Monday to her board, you will be able to have a dollar amount before then?
I'll check with them today or tomorrow
Okay,
and see what sort of time allotment we can.
okay, because
And it
we,
might have to be adjusted, well, I don't know how it's really written in there as to what our fiscal agent fees would be.
We haven't written it yet. That's what we're waiting on your time study.
and I think they've been doing that time study for a couple weeks now.
Yeah,
So hopefully, I mean, I think ideally to get a number, you and
Yeah.
Suzanne to work out a number this
yeah.
week.
I'll check with Dixie and Thea and see what
Okay.
they're
So
getting
that
close
would,
to a number.
that would be, I guess, reevaluated on an annual basis then?
Yeah, I would assume with Exhibit A, since it's an exhibit, we can change that easier than we can the entire contract. So we would review that every year.
Did we put a review date in here just of the contract?
Yeah,
Perfect.
so
Okay,
Leanne recommended 5 years and then a 3-year.
Right, 3-year automatic renewal for this is for the 28E entirely.
Right.
But Exhibit A is kind of separate, and Exhibit A can be altered every year.
Ken, is it your plan to put a dollar amount on your HR performance that they're requesting?
I would do it the same way that I do it for Southwest Juvenile Detention, where track the hours and then an hourly rate, whatever my salary would be hourly.
Okay.
But if the region feels it should be something different, we can absolutely work out something different, but that's how I do it for juvenile detention.
And that's how IT does it as well currently. They just, depending on who has worked on it, they know their billing rate and then they bill us for that person's time.
One thing I didn't see in here, Suzanne, and there was a lot of talk about the employee side of things. Where is the square footage rate?
So that will be in a separate,
I'm drafting a rental agreement.
Okay, so when do we get to see that?
I have the draft on my desk now that I was reviewing and tweaking, so probably if you have a board meeting on Monday, I should have it to you before the end of this week so they can review it and approve it.
yeah, so once it's reviewed and approved, I mean, the state, we've already kind of talked about what the board agreed to, which was the $10 per square foot. And so there's really not a whole lot other than that. It will be the same for every county, because we have to treat every county the same, so it won't be, that will,
$10 per square foot per year.
right.
What is the square footage of that?
3,200-ish, if
Yeah,
I remember right.
yeah. 32,500, I think. 34,500, somewhere in there.
Is that just the only space here, or do you have space in those other?
For, yeah, and then we have space in Shelby County, Montgomery County, and Page County. So we'll be paying them based on the same lease. So we'll have 4 separate contracts, but for lease space.
Are those spaces within the county, or are those,
Yeah, they're all in their courthouse or in an annex.
oh, they are?
Mhm.
Okay.
Where would we receive those fees, that space fees, Mr. Hauser?
Where would we receive them?
Receive them to us, to the board?
Well, we could, it wouldn't make any difference, it'll go probably back into the general fund, but we could receive, into the various
We didn't
departments.
budget any of that, did we, Mitch?
We want to budget that revenue line.
We did budget some, or did I cut that down? Our revenue to the auditor, fiscal agent. Seems like I might have cut that in
I
half.
bet you cut it down, because I think
we
you
cut
guys
it
already
down as
talked
far
about
as the
that.
receipts, but if IT gets a receipt into their budget or payroll or accounts payable or JANA, why, it'll all just go into the general fund. But we can budget as, if JANA wants to budget receipts, or if I want to budget receipts, we can do that. Just so you know how much.
Yeah, if we want to track this somehow, and again, it still is all a pass-through, but if there's a way that we want to be able to track it after 3 years, when we evaluate, we may need to
Yeah.
create
we can do
different
that.
lines. Okay.
I think the auditor's gonna want that tracked anyway. But.
Well, it'd just be nice to know, how much time Jana's spending, or IT is spending, or Thea, or Audrey and Jenna, or anybody else. I don't know, you gonna charge, you gonna receive buildings and grounds for cleaning, or that'll just come under your
That's
$10
part of
per
the-
square foot?
Yeah, that's under the rent.
Are you going to be ready to have this in front of your board Monday?
Yeah, yep.
So then it would then come back to this board on April 5th. Because we will have missed the deadline. Well, what time is your meeting on Monday?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock,
Okay.
yeah, it's no rush. I mean,
Yeah.
once we have it, since you guys have already seen it and the board approves it Monday, I mean, unless there's a need to rush right back here and get it finally approved, we can wait. Couple weeks.
Behind it, so it should pass.
Yeah.
Did the state give you a deadline, Suzanne?
Oh, no, there's no deadline from the state's perspective at all.
We approve the draft.
No,
That's what it says.
This is just for informational
So
purposes.
was this a self-imposed deadline by you? Is that-
That was by your request last time when we came before the board. And we knew we had a governing board meeting on Monday, so we wanted to get it in front of you in case we had to make any last minute changes to what our draft was, based on your feedback. And my governing board's not meeting again until April, May, at the end of May. So this will be we really need to get it approved Monday.
So it seems like the majority of the text and language in there is pretty much okay, you're just trying to nail down some final numbers on this thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with it, as long as we get the numbers thing worked out.
It seemed like there was that, ISAC deal, and they had, I think, all the regions there, maybe not all of them, but most of them there. There's like 5 different ways to do it, so.
Yeah, the state's definitely not telling us how we need to do it, and everybody's doing it just a little bit different. And so that's what we did. We had a panel that we presented on, and I let them know how we were proceeding within our region, and we learned some additional things that day as well, so.
I immediately forgot, but I'm sure there's some.
Okay, any questions for Leanne, Jana, or Suzanne?
I think I'm good.
All right, when you get those other numbers, bring them back to us when you can, and then we'll be ready to move forward.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Suzanne, yeah, keep reminding me to talk to Thea.
Will do.
I
Yep.
gotta leave by noon if I don't. You can check with me or something.
I'll send you an email hourly.
All righty.
Okay, we're gonna move forward with item J. Item J, we have an update from Regional Water with Tom Coleman. Tom and Matt Wyatt, Director of Planning and Development. You're up.
If I could, let me start by apologizing. I went back after our discussion prior to the meeting and relooked at the emails. I had talked to Matt and given him, I said my goal was to come back to you guys either on the 15th or on the 22nd, but I never confirmed the date I was coming back. So I apologize to Matt for not having given him a solid answer. I appreciate the fact that he's here. I just got an email while this meeting's been going on from Doug Drummy over at Council Bluffs Waterworks saying that the city of Council Bluffs just notified him that they will support approval of either option of which route we run our line out from the Wabash Avenue connection point that we had discussed as an option at the last time that I came before this board. As you could recall, the city was not wanting us to come off of the Sue Johnson Tower on the north side and coming all the way down the county. It interfered with plans that they had for some of their future annexation and development plans. We had a sit down with the city planning council, Brendan, the chief of staff, and then about 20 minutes in, the mayor walked in and sat down as well. So we had a very long, productive discussion, and they said that they were fine with us coming off the South Wabash Avenue, Harry Langdon connection onto the water from Council Bluffs. And he reiterated that the city has already said they will approve either. Those two options he's referring to, we went out and our engineers went out and did an initial review of that Wabash Avenue Pioneer Trail route and determined that it was gonna be more than 70% of the route would have to be bored because of all of the driveways, road crossings, and trees that were close along the line, that proposed route. We looked at staying on Wabash and coming down to I think it's called Meadowview Parkway, which is a little further south, and then turning because Meadowview Parkway comes back up and merges onto Pioneer Trail. So in looking at that, it actually drops our bores down to about 35%, which takes almost $650,000 off our estimated cost to run the line. So we were hoping that the city would approve us altering that route in that fashion, and at 10:27 this morning, he said the city came back to him and said that was okay with them. So,
Is that just gonna go near where that gas line's already there,
no,
or further south of that?
right, no,
There's a gas line that, right before Woodland Trail,
yes,
there's a gas line that cuts over the bluff there, but that follows, when it comes over the hill, it follows Little Pony, up to where these developments would be, so I'm assuming that'd be
That's more than likely.
Buckentine's property.
That's probably, yeah, that, I know where that gas pipeline runs across there, but more than likely that's an easement specifically for them. And this'll, I'm sure Tom will say it, but this'll run the road going around there.
So you'll come over, you'll actually go through Meadowview Parkway, the road, through that?
If that's what,
I believe that's what we're talking about. I don't have the exact schematic, I just had they gave me a synopsis saying it, and I can bring that back on the next time I come back to the board to give you an update, so you see exactly
Pick up a
what
lot
that
of
is.
extra customers that way?
It's actually slightly fewer number of potential customers than it is to turn on immediately on Pioneer Trail. The issue is with the annexation of the Google property, the 2-mile service limit for Council Bluffs is actually extended. So the big chunk that we were really excited about that were potential customers to us are now inside the 2-mile service limit. Council Bluffs said they would be happy to let them put on that water, and that we would actually get, they have a remuneration fee that they give to, in these kinds of instances where we're paying for the pipeline. So if they get a new customer off of that, they will pay us a fee. And it's based on a calculation that I don't have, but it basically works out to approximately $3,000 per customer that gets on Council Bluffs water inside their service limit before it becomes our pipeline. So we sat down and looked at that. The difference is going down Meadowview Parkway drops by, we think, somewhere between 50 and 60 potential customers, but it's still well over 100 potential homes inside their 2-mile service limit that could decide to add on that are currently not customers of Council Bluffs Waterworks.
The 3,000's a one-time fee, and then there's their monthly usage fee then?
Right, and they'll get, obviously, the monthly usage fee goes to Council Bluffs.
Right.
Since it's their water going in. We won't meter any of the folks that are inside their 2-mile limit. The meter to us for the water we're gonna pay for will be right at the 2-mile limit line that they're now in the process of reworking, because they realized they had not updated their 2-mile service limit after the annexation of Google. So that's something that's left to be resolved. The good news is that the board for Council Bluffs Waterworks has already approved the main extension request. We've already begun the cost analysis. We have an OPC from our engineers on what we believe it's gonna cost. And when we talked to you guys last, we talked about a $4.3 million project. The revised cost, because of them allowing us to extend down and pressurizing that point at Wabash higher, actually saves us over $650,000. So the project cost, if we do Wabash to Pioneer, is 3.9, and if we do Meadowview Parkway, is actually 3.2. So we're really hoping that the city will formalize that at their meeting. That's their intent, is to bring that before their city council meeting on Monday, the 28th.
And they'll pay that. I mean, they're gonna pay the 3.9 minus obviously what we did on the loan side of it.
I'm not sure exactly how that all is costing out, because we're still in the process. There's a form that you have to file with the city to request what they're gonna consider kicking into it. But in the meantime, we are now able to move forward and start doing
I
our.
just want to clarify, when you
Sure.
say city, you mean Council Bluffs Waterworks?
No, what I'm saying is this, Council Bluffs, yes, correct. Council Bluffs Waterworks and us are still working out exactly what the cost sharing is being right now, that we have 3 payment options, and he's gotta take those back to his board and get approval from them as to how it's gonna be.
I just want to clarify, we're
Sure.
not making an ask of the city council to try to somehow fund something. We have,
No,
they've not been a part of any of these conversations.
Correct.
Okay.
their only issue was being involved in the decision about where they will allow the line to be
Gotcha.
run.
Yep, makes sense.
Correct.
Because of the 2-mile, yep.
What is I guess Google annexed some more ground into the city, I guess were you aware of that, man?
No, they're talking about the original annexation of Google,
Oh, the original,
the original.
they never did redo their 2-mile limit line?
No,
That would've been, yeah.
yeah, but we're talking Council Bluffs Waterworks.
Oh, they didn't redo theirs.
Correct.
Okay.
The city proper, yes, we've adjusted that 2-mile line every time they annex out through their Council Bluffs Waterworks, so separate entity did not update theirs.
Okay.
And either one of these extensions, whether we would have gone directly down Pioneer Trail or now going further south down to Meadowview Parkway, not only is it an extension of rural water services in those areas, it's also an extension of Council Bluffs Waterworks' ability to service those individuals. So a large portion of that line will be Council Bluffs Waterworks. They'll invest whatever they're gonna invest into it, and they'll have services coming off of it. And then, like Tom was stating, right at the breaking point, the meter will be installed there. of what rural water is then purchasing and servicing after that.
Doesn't the, I'm just trying to think with the way the crow flies, doesn't probably part of Meadowview Parkway fall within the 2-mile limit?
I'm sure a portion of it, yeah.
Yeah, I think almost all of it.
Really?
Yeah, because the.
Our estimation is
Heartland
60%. 60% of this whole line will be inside the 2-mile limit.
There's a corner on the backside of, so it all should.
Huh.
So like it goes up,
While you're not getting the density off of some of that area that you would have gotten going down Pioneer Trail, more than likely, those individuals are higher end water users, so they have equipment in their homes that's gonna utilize more water, and so they'll be higher users than what the density would have been. I mean, it'll equal out because, and there's still the ability to potentially go back and pick up Trace View and some of those other developments around that
so it comes
area.
across on Meadowview, I mean, that's right next to like Parkwood Acres too then. So I mean, is that kind of the hope that eventually they tie into and get more users off that, or?
They could utilize water in that area for sure, because that's a 1950s subdivision, really small lots, have trouble with septic systems. Water would definitely benefit them in that area.
Yeah.
Well, which comes, Trace View is just right over the hill from Heartland.
Correct.
It backs up against.
Yeah.
It's probably within the 2-mile limit too, though, right?
And they're very high water users in that area.
Do you think it's in the 2-mile limit also?
A portion of it is.
Huh.
Yeah, like Pioneer Trail, like if you look at Pioneer Trail, that's kind of like it's just, it'd be like a hair west of it almost, is like the 2-mile line. It goes
Really?
up and then I just looked at the map before, if you remember the map, like it cuts, there's like a triangular piece of the Heartland addition that it cuts into on that, call it the kind of northwest side of that piece. And then it cuts back down through not Trace View, Heartland Estates or Meadowview, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, there's the 2-mile kind of reaches, there's like a point right here, and this is and the way Pioneer Trails, it runs kind of cattywampus across that. So there's a portion of all those subdivisions down there that'll have some connection into that 2-mile area, and a portion of them won't be. So it's a mess of services, but being able to provide them with this will be good for any of them.
It cuts out, I think, if I remember right, it's like right at that turn by Kennedy's place is where the 2 miles stops. And then, it's like Woodland Acres, for example, would not be within, they're just outside of it in our original drawings when we were coming from the south.
It's a 10-inch line, you said?
8-inch line until we get to the 2-mile limit, and then we're putting the pumping station, we're bumping it up to a 10-inch line from there.
Okay. So is there ever gonna be you think there'll ever be a need, will the pump be enough, or do you think there'll ever be a need for another tower up that way?
Well, that's a good question. It all depends on how much more development happens further out along Pioneer Trail. I do know that Jim Hughes Real Estate has already talked to us about some prospective additional developments going south on 240th Street towards Mills County.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where he is at in those processes with Pottawatomie County, but he did ask us if we would be willing to extend the line. I said, obviously there's a cost associated with a line extension, but we'd be happy to talk to him about that when the time comes.
Yeah, it seems like 240th is kind of the notional backstop of the development out there, so
Yes.
that makes sense. But.
Can I ask a question? Is the line gonna be on the right of way or private property?
Yes. It's gonna be on both. Where we can get private property easements, we prefer that because it gives us a little more flexibility. The right of way, especially if it's already developed, and I don't know, as the new guy, I have not been out on the ground except once, and that was just a very quick spin before we came to talk to the board. So I couldn't tell you how much stuff is already in the ground out there along the road. Otherwise,
A lot. Has there been any consideration of possibly seeing if the Wabash Trace would give right away for that? It seems like it hits all the areas you need, and they might just be happy to have a paved trail, I don't know. As far as alignments go and grades and brush and utilities,
It's a straight shot too.
that would be exactly where you need to
Do they have
go.
restrictions left on
No,
the
they is-
railroad that they're not allowed to?
I don't know I have no idea what, they're a park, so there's some restrictions on what I can do with them, I guess, but it seems to me you get an agreement with them and if they got their trail paved, I would think they would
We need
be
to send Mark.
ecstatic.
Well, is it still owned by the Heritage Foundation though? Some of it, or some of it got turned over to the other counties?
I'm just looking at alignments, I guess, I don't know.
There's some that's still owned by the Iowa Natural Heritage Foundation.
But it's a reasonable question to ask, and so
Yeah.
that's easy enough to reach out.
It's a railroad grade, so you know
Right.
it's gonna be flat and
Is
smooth.
there
and-
currently utilities in there? Do you know, Mark? I don't think.
I just come up with ideas, I don't really have anything deeper than that.
That's a good idea.
The utilities run down Pioneer Trail.
I just always thought there was some restriction on them, that they had to potentially
No,
fill
no,
it,
no.
put it right back into a railroad.
I mean, it crosses like right there at
I
that
could be wrong.
Bluebird Ave or whatever,
Definitely worth
Rolling Hills Loop.
So Meadow View Parkway would be an easement through there, John, or is that a road that we? I know
I
it's
believe we just
paved-
have easements to those
paved.
properties.
Pardon?
We just have easements to those properties, but we do have a lot of erosion issues out there, we're always
Right.
fighting, it seems like, so,
But that would be 66-foot easement, or,
yeah, most likely, I'd pull it out, but would be my guess.
because it's a paved surface without any curbs, basically, so. Okay.
Tom, you've been in direct contact with the developers and where
Yes.
we're at?
The last communication, we had a sit-down teleconference 2 weeks ago, once we got had to sit down with the city and work those details out that they would allow us to, because we wanted to make sure that they were gonna get water, obviously.
Original timeline was September, where are we at now?
Correct. Well, we're talking about September of '23, as the realistic, we'll have water there by September. The good news is we've actually just got our first shipment of pipe. We had made them a calculated risk to drop a whole lot of money on pipe in December before the prices went up 17% in January. And we're now gotten our first delivery of pipe, and this is all, so we won't have to wait on materials to arrive as soon as we get the rest of the permitting and contracts started for who's gonna do the trenching. So I'm cautiously optimistic. The realistic expectation is no later than September of '23.
Well, Heartland's still got a lot of dirt to haul off, right? I mean, they still got quite a
The
bit.
developers are all aware of the timeline that we're at right now. They do still have a lot of dirt work that they would like, a lot of dirt they would like to move from the site before they actually begin any grading, so it's not slowing down their
And then
plans
Houston
at
He's
all.
got his minor subdivisions, so he could do those at any time.
Right, he's got houses he can build for at least this next year.
So they will need to amend our agreement with them, right?
We will come up on this summer, yeah, we'll bring in the agreement and amend the timeline on it.
But there, no pushback from them, I mean, as far as.
No pushback from,
So John, there's no really quick reason for us to race out there and get the road paved until some of this work gets done, right? Will that make any difference?
I'd kinda like to get on the development schedule and move ahead if we're doing that work, so. I mean, we already started developing it, so, yeah, I'd like to see us pave it this summer if we could, but I guess that's ultimately up to you guys.
Okay. Show me the money.
That's what I say, not you.
Okay.
It's your money, I can't wait to spend it.
All right, very good discussion. Thanks, Tom, for popping in. Thanks, Matt, for helping out. Any other questions from the board for either Matt, Tom, or John? All right.
No, we probably should, probably match and coordinate when we should get another, I guess, update on where we're at, I guess.
Okay.
sounds good.
You're gonna investigate, you don't know which way you're going for sure yet, it didn't sound like.
We'll know after Monday, city council approves it.
Right, but if you would come back to the Wabash, then you would look at that or not? Or you're not gonna look at that?
I'm not exactly sure.
The Wabash Trace.
Oh, as far as Wabash Trace?
Yeah.
Okay, right. No, we'll look at that this week. I'll have my guys look at that this week. If I could get a point of contact. Do you have the point of contact for it out there?
For the trail?
I just texted her, so we'll see if I get it.
Okay.
That would be great.
If it was the right contact.
Okay, Moving on, next up, we have Matt Wyatt, Planning and Development, discussion and decision on approval of contract extension with Whittle Bryan for female representation. Matt, you're up.
We, the beginning, middle of COVID-19, we contracted with Whittle Bryan to help us with our FEMA reimbursement process. And just because of the prolonged activity that's gone on, the original contract that we signed with them has expired. And so we need to extend that contract with them as we finish entering in all of the pieces for our FEMA reimbursement. And so I'm hoping just to get the board to sign the extension on this one.
What have we been, 2 years or 3?
Oh, we're going on 3 years.
Okay. You're happy with them?
Yeah, we did have some struggles with the first. So what happens is Whittle Bryan basically subcontracts this out to people that they have. The first subcontractor that they gave us, we weren't getting anywhere with or near the attention that we needed. So we did replace that subcontractor with a new individual. This individual is staying in contact, getting the entries in that we need, arranging the meetings that we needed to have. And so we're really on track with where we need to be for our FEMA reimbursement. And I'm much happier with this individual.
What kind of an extension are you looking at?
I believe it was a 12-month extension, or
No, this one,
does it go through June? Yeah.
yeah, this one's a 6 month.
Because everybody right now is imagining that the federal level is gonna expire. We're already done. We've been done with the FEMA reimbursable part of COVID, really since at the end of the vaccination clinics. So we're just finishing up those backtracks. We have 2 projects entered. We're entering in 6 projects total. So
It's all COVID related.
all COVID related. We have $500,000 entered in so far. We've got $1.5 million worth of personnel time that's gonna get entered in. And then we've been working with the FEMA rep they are pushing back a little bit because they've changed the rules probably 6 times during this event on what they'll pay for, what they won't pay for. And so we'll have our final other projects entered in.
Okay. It's a pleasure of the board.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion for Matt?
So the 500 and the 1.5 million, and then there's 3 other projects, or are they all into those 5 projects, into those 2?
No, there's 2 other projects after that too.
Into those, besides those 2 numbers then?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion in a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thanks, Matt. Next up, we have Mark Shoemaker, Matt Wyatt. Mark Shoemaker with our Director of Conservation and Matt Wyatt, Director of Planning and Development. Discussion or decision to accept agreement of donated property from Jack Links and authorize the board chair to sign the offer to donate. Who wants to start off, Mark or Matt?
I will.
All right, Mark, you're up.
About 4 years ago, we approached Jack Links as far as the Conservation and the Trail Association. They have a strip of land between the existing railroad and railroad highway. It's about 6.03 acres. We approached them not knowing if we would even get a response, if they would donate it, do an easement, or if they were interested in selling that piece. That piece is gonna make it easier in that location to do the trail into Underwood. Plus it gives you some room to do a trailhead and possibly some restrooms, maybe a small park or something like that. They got back to us after we contacted, I don't know how many people at Jack Links. We finally got a local guy to talk to us. And they said they were interested in donating that. We went ahead and did an appraisal. So they had that done, and they want to give it to the county. And I think one of their restrictions on there is with that parcel, that 6-acre parcel, when the trail gets done, if there's any possible to do naming rights, or if there's a park there or any development, they'd like to have that chance to put their name on it, that little section.
Great.
I think that's also generous of them. I don't have any issues with the signage as long as they don't turn it into like, Interstate 90 going across South Dakota, and every half a second when you're thinking there's a wall drug sign.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to wall drug.
Well, it'd be like every 15 feet then in that location. It's not very long, so. And then Matt said he would put on a Sasquatch outfit and kind of roam that area too.
He'd be the right size for that.
No, there's one in the county. I think Golden Hills RCD has a Sasquatch outfit, so that's kind of what's going on there, so.
So that piece, parcel 3 they're giving us, have you seen this map we got?
The survey?
Yes, is that what it's,
Yeah, it's a survey. I didn't include the map, so.
well, this
It's
survey,
being-
I mean, this survey's back, I don't know what year it
Yeah.
was.
No, I sent that to you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
In 89, is that when it was surveyed?
Yeah.
So it's just, to me, it looks like it's the old, parcel 3
Yep,
is strictly the old railroad.
yep. It's
Right.
abandoned railroad right away that it reverted back to them whenever that happened. So
When-
they actually own property on the other side of the railroad it'd be on the south side of that map, or I don't know what direction
Right,
it is, east.
it's hard to tell
Yeah.
with the map. Okay, so they're just giving us that
That long strip between
Long
the
strip
existing
there.
railroad and the highway.
highway.
Yeah.
And they have the pieces on both sides.
Yeah. They do.
Okay. So, do they own the piece where the guy's at with the farm set up?
With the, no,
The guy that's doing the, whatever,
No, and I think that's planned to be moving, I think. I don't know what
That's what I've heard.
deadline that's on.
Heard that.
He was
So,
moving over to McClellan,
yeah.
wasn't
Yeah, he's pretty much all the way, pretty down all the, I think all of it's anhydrous, I think it's, I could be wrong, but I think his grandfather clause on his anhydrous, that close to the railroad is, I thought it was end of last year in 2021, but it's coming up anyway, so.
That's Kramer, I think. Is
Yeah.
it Kramer? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that railroad right away then, he's in?
No, I don't think so. I think they own that.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so, good.
I'd make a motion to have the chairman, authorize the chairman to sign this agreement.
Second. What's the width of that, do you know, Mark?
I don't offhand.
Okay.
If it was the old railroad right of way, it's probably at least 100 foot.
Okay,
So,
It's
they're
on-
usually 50 foot from center line to.
It looks like it's on there, Scott, but it's.
That'd be my guess up there, is probably about.
that's what I tried to, cause I had hell time finding parcel 3, I kept on saying, well, there's parcel 2, where's parcel 3 at, and then finally.
I should have included a better map, like an aerial or something, but that's all I had
Can I
at
get
the
a
time.
second on that, Mr. Hauser?
Belt.
Seconded. Is there any other discussion from Mark or Matt? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
That's exciting.
All right, next up,
I got one more question, hey, Mark, right now, is that just being mowed by,
It's farmed. So I think they cash rent it out, and, I mean, since it's already into this next season, they're gonna go ahead and cash rent it out again to the same person that they did
okay,
rent it out to, so.
okay. Well, we wanna be good neighbors with them, so. Okay,
Thanks, you guys.
all right, next up, we have John Rasmussen, the engineer, Matt White, Director of Planning and Development, and Josh Billings.
We voted on that? I'm sorry, the last
Did we vote on that, Mount?
one. Last one?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Discussion or decision on the property and building of the old secondary road shed in Hancock. John, you're up.
Sure. I talked to you guys about how we had to fix the deed on the Hancock shop. And then we have an area there where the city's using the county property for egress. Do you guys need the pictures again or not? You asked me to maybe talk to the city about what they would like to see, and I went to their city council meeting last week or something like that. Talked to them about it, but I asked them to come in and give you their opinions on it, so I might have to share with the mayor or Josh or whoever wants to speak.
Are we talking about, is that lot C, is that right?
It's lot 6, we split and the deed was wrong. Lot 7, they're using for egress as well as the remainder of 6. You sure you don't want the map?
Yeah, let me take a look, I can't remember. So 6 and 7, if 6 and 7 go away, that building has no parking, is that right?
Yeah, they can't access the rear building. Just
Thank you, John.
quick rundown on the situation. Oh, you got one?
I'm down with that.
Quick rundown of the situation, lot 6, there's a blue line there, is kind of the corrected deed that we're gonna do. Then so we have 10 foot remaining on 6, and they have the south 12 feet. My recommendation to the board was to give them an easement to the remainder 6.5 of 7. But there's, there's an alternative to do this by deed too, since we got the deed open.
John, you're wanting to recoup some money from this building for your building,
The
correct?
sales of these buildings are credit towards my construction, I guess I'm trying to do, so.
Is there a, is Hancock, are they interested in this building?
We would, I'm Vince Geyer, I'm the mayor, Josh is our hired guy. We would be interested in the property. John came to the council meeting the other night, I don't know what a realistic value is of it. I used a $275,000 the other night, I don't know. I took that as a joke, maybe. Maybe I shouldn't have.
I know you had a checkbook open, I didn't know.
But as far as if we can't get the building and the whole property, I would like to get, if we could somehow get the north half of 6 and at least the south half of 7. I would prefer to own it over an easement. Doing some measuring out there, the south 14 feet would be better than 11, but 11 would work. If you did 14 feet, that would leave you 8 feet off the edge of that building. But I would like for the city to be able to somehow be able to afford it. I mean, we're a small town, we don't have a lot of money. And I don't know what can be done, what can be worked out, but we would be interested in the entire property, if that can be.
John, did you get a valuation on this building?
No, I'm gonna get appraisals done on the buildings. When we met at the meeting, we have 2 monitoring wells, and I kind of spent the week, and so did Josh, trying to resolve those, and we had a no further action letter from 2006.
Yeah, do you guys want the letters from the DNR about that?
So we have wells there that I'm gonna have closed as well, so.
That was one of my concerns with this property as to, the county back in the day, they had 2 1,000 gallon, drums in the ground.
Yeah.
One for diesel, one for gas, and they took them out, I think in the late 90s sometime. And I heard when the county took them out, there were contaminants in the ground. So they put those test wells in. Never really heard anything back from, of course, I wasn't even working at the time, but talking to the DNR lady this week, there is a do not, or it's pretty much closed. So she said the county can take them out with proper plugging records. There's a DNR form you gotta fill out for plugging a well, and just have it done by a licensed well contractor. And it's, what she also said was, whoever gets those properties or that property where the well is, as long as the owner does not put anything in the ground or within 1,000 feet of of that area, you can't put another well in. If they do, whoever owns the property will be responsible for those contaminants. If not, it'll still fall back on the county if it ever would arise, which I probably don't see it arising. We get our water from Oakland. We don't need wells in Hancock.
I believe we have an ordinance against having a well.
Yeah, you're not supposed to have, like, any resident.
You're not supposed to, we have an ordinance against, a resident building a house and deciding that they don't want our water and drilling their own well.
Yeah.
They can't do that anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So that should never really arise. And the reason for the 14 feet, it's hard to see on this map, but if you look just above where it says, in lot 722, you sort of have, I don't know, an aerial view of a mound there's a mound with rock and silt from them washing their trucks. That is where one of the test wells is. And if you go just to the south of that, that's about 14 feet. And how I got that measurement is sort of in, I don't know, to the left middle of the building, you'll see this little black spot on there. That's the other test well. That's the camera looking down, and you can see where that test well is. So it was pretty easy, if that lot line is correct, where to go off for measurements. And so I took my tape measure, measured it out, and about 8 feet back from that lot line, you can tell that's where everybody pretty much drives. So that's how I came up with the 14 feet, 8 feet.
So you would want to give them, the rest of 6 and the south 8 feet of 7?
His proposal would be the remainder of 6, which is 10 feet, and the south 14 feet is 7. The difference between 11 foot and 14 foot's not all that big to me. I guess the only thing I'd want to maybe protect is the future owner has an ability to drive around that building. So I don't know if 8's too tight for that. That would be a fairly good squeeze through there. I don't see either party putting a fence up, but I just like whoever buys it to have access.
For the sake of discussion, I went in and asked Mitch this morning if there was a way to gift them that, and then if there was a way ARPA could repay the board, or John is where the money would go. And Mitch didn't think there was, that we could do anything like that. And have you got any thoughts?
I don't know what you mean. What do you mean?
If we gift them the building, is there a way to take the ARPA funds and get them to John? That's what I was asking.
We wouldn't, I mean, just in all honesty, we wouldn't need to do that. If we were gonna go down it's a huge if, so don't get all like.
No, I totally understand.
I'm just opening a conversation.
What I'm saying is that if we were to go down that path of gifting it to them, we wouldn't need to do anything. If John had this gap that he felt he needed to fulfill his project, then we would just pull money from in our normal budget. Money that didn't have strings attached to it. So like, I mean, gaming has some strings, but I'm just saying we would funnel money from a different account over to that, like the land fund or something like that. Okay. There'd be no need to do ARPA really doesn't need to be a part of that.
What would you guys, I guess, we're just discussing right now, but what would you anticipate doing with the building and I mean, I guess there are some potential, really some grant opportunities to get some money for that building if you want it.
Yeah, for use would be just typical city use, city maintenance to store equipment. We have a tractor that our lease agreement with, Titan up in Avoca. We got a much larger tractor than what we did last year, and it will fit in our building now.
2 inches.
Barely. You know, and we don't have a lot of control on what tractor that they give us. It's a program that we have for so many hours and they take it back and then we get a new one. And it makes me a little concerned not having the space to where we don't want to keep a brand new tractor and leave it sit outside. That's just not an option.
Roman said when he retires from the board, he's gonna do a trash service out of that building or something.
And I would just love a garbage truck across the street from my house. I'd be excited about that.
Do you think our next step, John, is to move forward and let's get an appraisal of that property?
Yeah, we can do that. I also need to get that deed fixed as well, so.
You don't have to have the deed repaired until you get ready to transfer ownership. I mean, you just don't.
Yeah, I'd be more in favor of just going and getting an appraisal done. That way we just know what numbers we're even talking about.
And if we can't come to some way that the town can, I mean, if you guys would be gracious enough to gift it to us, that'd be fantastic, but that's really not here what I'm asking for. If we could come out with a way that we could afford it and that we could do it, I would be happy to pay for it. Not $275,000.
It's a whole building, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just got forced air heating in it?
I believe it's radiant heat, if I remember right. There's a tube on the ceiling,
Yeah,
right?
there's two tubes.
There's,
Is there propane there? I don't see a tank.
no, there's natural gas.
It's natural.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But there is a floor drain in it. There's radiant heat. You look at the inside of the building from years of washing off salt and stuff, it's kind of rusted around the inside. There's a tree on the north side that's rubbed on it for 10 years
All
at
right,
least.
260.
So
Yeah,
261.
Yeah. Are the birds living in the roof tree?
So I mean, it's not a new building, but it is a nice building. I'm not gonna say that it's not a nice usable building. It definitely is.
It's what, 40, was the building, 90,
I think those early 90s.
24
construction
years
on this
old?
one.
Yeah, I would say I've lived there forever.
So would there be, I'm just throwing this out, would there be an opportunity to, I mean, I really would like to see the community probably, if they want it, we don't wanna create bad neighbors and we leave and create a problem for the community, that's not being good neighbors. Look at some sort of, payment, option possibly.
Yeah.
Over so many years or something?
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic.
Okay. Well, I guess that's.
Something that we can afford. I would really appreciate that.
And when this was, up in the air months and months and months ago, John Finner with the county park with Bottom Bend was actually talking, he'd sort of like to see it go there, and we were talking, and he's like, yeah, if we got it, we'd let you, store some of your stuff in there. I'm like, well, if Hancock by chance gets it, I'd let them, keep some of their stuff in there if need be, even though they're building a new shop now. But, cause I work well with the county park, cause we're neighbors and.
I think we get along well.
Yeah, I help them out.
There's been tension in the past, but I'm hoping that that's over.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want any tension with the county.
Yeah.
I work for the county.
Yeah.
There won't be.
Yeah, that's.
We're obligated to get an appraisal done on the property.
Oh, correct, yeah.
And consult with our county attorney and work out a deal that's fair for both the rural residents of Potawatomi County who pay for it and the citizens of Hancock. So we'll move forward with getting an appraisal, and we'll keep you guys in, and John will keep you in,
We do have
conversation with
a
him.
couple more issues there with Hancock. One of them is the compaction station.
Well, that's next on the agenda.
That's next.
Okay, and then what about, I don't know what you were gonna do about, there was some grass that they gave to the county. And then,
In the park? That front
they
of the
never
park?
did do a deed. But that kinda needs to be cleared up.
I guess I can shed sort of some light on that.
That can be on.
It's the land right along the road.
Yeah. I didn't put that on there because it's pretty much resolved now.
So there's nothing to be done?
No.
Okay.
The county, it was a handshake deal.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, and, the conservation talked about it and they're just like, we're just gonna forget about that, and so I'm maintaining that now.
He's back to mowing it now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which
good.
isn't a big deal, it's less work for John, which he's fine with, so.
Okay, so,
Yep.
we're gonna move forward with that. We'll keep you posted on, where we're at with getting the appraisal done.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And then we'll, get our county attorney work with us on whether or not we can actually just sell it to someone without advertising. I don't know if we can even do that. That's something he's gonna have to look up. All right, so we'll move forward with that. Next up on the agenda is.
If the building doesn't go through, we still wanna wrap up those lots, right? So
No.
we gotta figure out
Well,
those.
You still
If,
want
if they don't move ahead on the buildings, we still have to resolve those lots as far as selling them or gifting them as well, 6 and 7, so.
Yeah, I just like to see, first I wanna see an appraisal, so I know what the property's worth. And if it's not worth a whole lot, I'm more in favor of going the route of just handing it over to the Hancock. But it just depends what it costs. If the value's up enough, it doesn't make sense to do that, so we have to figure that out. Really, for you, this building is helping you with your project, really is ultimately where it's gonna go, and I think that there's other routes for us to figure that out if we need to, so.
John, do we have anything in there now?
No,
It's all out in it.
I got a new trailer parked out back that I was gonna repo, but
Oh, that's not a new trailer. That's my old dump trailer.
Appraisal on any of the shop for.
just for insurance purposes, but not a up-to-date one.
Can we move forward on getting
Sure.
those done too? All right, moving on, property on the old transfer
Thanks, guys.
station site. Where are we at? What do we wanna do with that, Matt?
So the agreement with that property, with the city of Hancock was that if the transfer station ever went away, we had to get the site back to original grade and, get something from the DNR stating that, I can't necessarily call it a no further action, cause it's not really a no further action. It's basically that we met the conditions of closing out our transfer station site on that property. We never had an underground storage tank or anything like that there. So there were never any monitoring wells or anything like that. I believe that, we got the letter back from the DNR saying that we met all the conditions of closing out our permit. The site has been graded back down. We added new rock at that time and back to the city's burn pit and kind of left a little turnaround area for them. Conservation got it all seeded back. And I believe now that the city's ready to accept it back, we just need, really kind of, I guess, permission from the board, and then, however that gets handled, if the county attorney's office writes up the transfer back to them or the deed back to them to get it out of the county's name and back into the city's hand.
I
But
don't have that deed, but I mean, we paid $1 for it, so we had to, I think the agreement was to get $1 back.
Yes. And as for the conservation, I don't know if they've seeded that yet. It just grew into weeds.
Yeah.
they did seed it a couple different times. I'm not sure.
And it just didn't take.
I could ask Mark what the,
Is that like natural predator?
yeah, and so I'm sure it looks.
I'm hoping to burn it too.
Yeah,
I'm planning on burning it this year.
The seeding's not something I'm
So,
overly
yeah.
concerned with.
Matt, do you have any?
If we decide we wanna throw down some grass seed, we can throw down a little grass
So
seed.
you ready for us to just move forward and
Sure.
do
Yeah,
what
that'd
we
be
can
great.
legally to provide that property back to Hancock?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll accept it back.
All right, we'll get with our county attorney and, wait a minute, is this on for discussion or decision?
So it's,
It's motion.
Okay, before I say any more, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'm in favor
make a
of that.
motion to transfer the old transfer station site back to the city of Hancock.
Second, okay.
Take it.
I helped start this one, so
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Matt, you on that? You're awesome.
one of us, Leanne or I.
Okay,
Transfer station.
so that should happen relatively, within 90 days,
It,
somewhere in there.
what, did you have, an easement on that? What would that be, the west side of it, or was
I
that?
believe we had an easement on,
Yeah.
I believe we had an easement on the west side of it for us to access our burnt pile and the rest of our property back behind it.
Vince, how often are you guys mowing that piece in the park?
He mows it every time he mows the rest of it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just, I know they were worried about that last year.
Yeah.
There were some complaints, that it was planted in prairie and some people didn't understand that and, there was a to-do, but then Mark and John emailed back and just said, you guys, if you wanna mow it, just mow it, and forget about the whole thing. So, if they're good with that, I'm good with that.
Good.
Yeah, I just,
Thanks.
That, transfer station piece, will help with the lagoon situation then also?
as far as it gives us better access to the west side of the lagoons.
Yeah.
You know, if there would be a problem with our access right in between them, our other access is through there, yes.
Yeah, it's pretty tight in there.
Cool.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room.
Yeah, well, appreciate you letting us have the transfer station there when whoever was around when that happened, so.
We appreciate you putting it back the way it was, it looks great.
Oh, yeah.
Before they sloped everything down and gravelled it, I couldn't ask for more.
We vote on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, maybe we'll get back to you on the other part.
Thanks, guys.
That works.
Thanks, guys.
I told Tracy I have one already.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Want your map back?
All right, next up on our agenda, we have Sherry Dahlheim, Chief Investigator Coordinator for the Medical Examiner Office, discussion or decision regarding on-call and removal policy revisions.
Yes.
Sherry, you're up, come on up.
I sent you the revised copies. I'm gonna go right behind you. With the proposed amount of the $150 for the removal fee to be billed to us by a funeral home if they do a removal on call where a family has not requested them. And then what we would do, it's updated in there, is I would bill a receiving funeral home if that funeral home that did the removal does not keep them for the final affairs. That is the only time that we would pay that fee. If the on-call funeral home picks one up and they keep them and do the services, we are not charged. So,
Sherry, does the other funeral home in town, do they pick up if you call them and they want, if the family wants,
yes.
they pick them up?
Any funeral home, if I call within a 30-mile radius, Omaha essentially, and Council Bluffs, they'll come and get them if it's family request.
Okay.
Yeah, they're usually, if they aren't available, we usually don't have issue with that. They'll call in a trade service to do the removals for them. That's behind the scenes from us.
Okay.
So,
Do they have the family sign something when they come to pick up?
I don't have them sign anything.
No, but you're there, or your people there on scene?
Yes, until the
it's
person's
picked-
gone.
Until
Yes.
it's picked up, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just was curious if what.
Some funeral homes do, where they have them sign a form because they want to start processes if time is of the essence on
Right.
certain things. Some, it's a standard practice. Other funeral homes do not. They just say, come in today or tomorrow at this time to talk about what you want to do. And they'll ask initially, do you want to do this or that? But sometimes there's no one there to ask. But they are requested because families advised over the phone with law enforcement or something. So.
I would make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Removal policy.
Sherry, give me an example of a time when the county doesn't get reimbursed back for that.
Say it again.
Give me an example of a time when the county won't be reimbursed for the $150.
We should be, there would be times if it's an out-of-state individual, so the on-call funeral home picks them up, and this person's just passing through on the interstate and has an unfortunate accident, and they're from Arizona, and the family wants a transfer done. So we're not gonna bill out-of-state, we never have. It's a professional courtesy. We bill in-state, same as the county residents that pass away here, out-of-county residents that pass away here from, say, Scott County. I'll bill Scott County for that, but we don't bill Douglas County. We don't bill anyone out of state.
Why don't we do that, Sherry?
That could be expensive if they start billing us back, reciprocal billing.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Numbers that happen to go down south and won't make it back, kind of thing, I suppose you run into that a lot.
I mean, there's nothing to enforce it either if they don't pay you either, so. But the practice has always been just the
Leave it be.
Iowa residents. Mm-hmm,
Okay.
yeah.
And then just answer one more question for me. There is a firm or facility that picks up for free.
There are two in Omaha, trade services, that will do the removals at no cost to the county, and they'll bill
How do they get?
They, in order for the funeral home that is chosen by the family, they will pay that trade service to acquire that individual. So the money exchanges between the trade service and the funeral home.
What happens if they don't, no one picks it up? Then it
That
goes back to
unclaimed
our
body policy comes in, and that's where we don't have that additional 150, so.
Is there something that state law can, one of those, I don't know what you wanna call them, trade service, that they can hold bodies for, in perpetuity?
No,
This is one of those things I would say we might be curious about it, but it's not my fight, so I'm probably not gonna look it up. I don't know, but we're not involved in it, so that's their issue.
the current process in the state of Iowa is that, you can't hold a body hostage. So if the funeral home picks one up, and then the family says, we want another funeral home, they have to oblige. They have to transfer the body. There's no, now the charges related to that, that's up to the funeral homes to establish. And that's a published price list, that's public knowledge. So the going rate for the local funeral homes is about $4.95 that they'll charge each other, but they charge that to the family. So it's just passed on. It all ends up on the family.
Is it your plan to run this for a year and come and evaluate after a year?
Yes.
Is there any other discussion for Sherry on this?
No, I want to question after we voted on something, ask Sherry real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, we had claims the other day, and we paid one.
I thought it was about.
No.
Go ahead.
And we had one that you had to pay down to Missouri, Benton, Missouri or something.
A Missouri bill?
Pardon?
A bill to Missouri?
Yeah, that's what it said. And does that make sense?
I'd have to look.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I can't think.
Yeah, the autopsy, how much is an autopsy at the state?
A base autopsy fee is $1,900,
Okay.
but there's always a toxicology fee. There's histology. Some of the pathologists use transcription. If they send off for additional services for analysis of brain, spine, eyes, it's gonna be additional services as well.
So do they bill you on a monthly basis in the state?
No, it's kind of random because sometimes depends on when they get results. So
Okay.
it staggers. It's very,
Cause it doesn't, the number was, just above 30,000, and so they don't tell you if it's, 4 bodies, 1 body, or.
it's usually several because I'll do sections of month, like for
Right.
December autopsies, I'll wait till they all come in and pay all the December ones at once, kind of thing, so.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the on-call policy removal.
Effective date of March 1, or is that okay? If it approves?
That's
Okay.
For March 22nd. I mean, that's when we do it.
That's fine.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, next up, we have budget discussion. I thought we were gonna take this off. We don't have anything left for Matt.
No, not for the public.
Sherry, thanks for all your work. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up, let's see, we are going to break until 12:30. Okay?
Last time we went into closed session and then we took a break. Is that how you want to do it again today?
That way we didn't have to come back
How do you
into a
want me to do
separate
it,
meeting.
Mr. Hauser?
I don't think it, really makes any difference, but.
Yes, sir, were you here to adjust the board at all?
No,
Were you
he's.
here to adjust the board at all?
No, I'm a new reporter with Non-Pro.
Oh, okay, what was your name?
Dave Golditz.
Dave, I'm Justin.
Nice to meet you. Mike said I should talk to you about some stuff.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, I'll get you my card or all our cards, I guess, and then.
Yeah, that'd be
we have
great.
our contact.
If you don't mind, just meet us over here.
Why don't you go ahead and.
So do we go into closed session now, Tim?
All right, I'll make I'll entertain a motion to go into,
Hold on,
closed session under the Code of Iowa, Chapter 21.5, Parent 1, Parent I.
so moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a
Thanks,
motion
Susan.
and a second to go in.
See you, Susan.
All right.
See ya.
Chairman Wickman.
Aye.
Supervisor Shea.
Yeah.
Bell.
Aye.
Roby.
Yes.
Schultz.
Schultz isn't here.
Okay. Absent. Okay.